Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentilers teaching you the tips and tricks.
Hi guys, a very good afternoon to all of you. In this particular session, we are going to talk about 3 exams, CAT, XAT and GMAT. So we've got a lot of queries about the difference between CAT and GMAT and similarly about XAT and GMAT. So I thought we're going to, it's better that we have a session where I can actually tell you what are these exams for and therefore help you guys understand better who should be writing these exams. Many of you ask me, in fact, a lot of over the last decade and a half that I've been training students, it's a very common question, sir, should we write GMAT or CAT? I find it to be a bit amusing because people think that GMAT and CAT are similar exams, you can go ahead and write it. But the purpose of the 2 exams is actually way different. So first I'm going to explore what is the type of MBAs that exist. What are the type of MBAs that exist? Because all the 3 exams that we are going to discuss today, CAT, XAT and GMAT, they are actually the entrance exams for different types of an MBA program. So now it's like, saying that should I write a medical exam or a IIT JEE or a NEET or a IIT JEE? I mean, the question is very, very, kind of funny because it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to become, a doctor, you'll probably, get into MBBS, there is one exam you write. If you want to become an engineer, there's another exam you write. If you want to become a lawyer, there's another exam to write. All of them give you entry into colleges. Similarly, people think that actually GMAT and CAT or GMAT and XAT are very similar in nature. Yes, here the similarity is they both give you entry for MBA programs, but actually the programs are way different. So instead of directly telling you what is the difference between these exams in terms of the exam pattern, let me begin by helping you in understanding what are the various MBA programs in the world. Once you understand this, you will then get to know what is the actual difference between your CAT, XAT and GMAT. So let's go ahead and take a look at the various MBA programs. So broadly speaking, there are 4 types of programs that we can talk about as far as MBA is concerned. So typically across the globe, that is India and abroad, we have 2 years program, which many of you know, it's a 2-year MBA program. Then we have a 1-year MBA program. So there is a subtle difference between the two. I'll talk about it. Then we have something called as an executive program. So many students get confused between 1-year MBA and executive program. So they are actually a bit different. Then of course we have leadership programs. Currently there are very, very few leadership programs in India. None of them are rated, even in the top 20 or 30 in the world. But yes, we have some really good 2-year MBA programs which are rated in the top 30-40. In fact, I think Bangalore or Calcutta, IIM Bangalore or IIM Calcutta's 2-year program is rated 38th or 39th. In fact, ISB's 1-year program from India is rated in the 30s, somewhere around. So yes, we have some good programs in these 2 categories, but unfortunately in these 2 categories, we don't have really that great programs. But let's go ahead and try to understand what are these different programs actually. Okay. So Lakshya Agarwal, before I move in, Lakshya Agarwal is saying, sir, I'm confused. Can I get into top colleges through GMAT? So that's exactly what I'm trying to address right now, Lakshya, sorry. So please hold on, understand what is it that I'm trying to explain here. First, I'm talking about the programs because you need to first understand what is GMAT written for. So for me to tell you what is GMAT written for, you need to understand the programs because these are the programs for which GMAT or CAT or XAT is written. So let's hold on. At the end of the session, I'm sure you'll be getting an answer to your question. So first start with the 2-year MBA program, which is the most famous. All of you know about it. Almost all the top 15-20 colleges in our country, India specifically, offer this 2-year program. The duration, of course, is 2 years. That's the reason why we call it as a 2-year MBA, or sometimes it's also called as PGDM. PGDM or a MBA. Basically in India they are both the same. MBA is actually a degree, whereas PGDM is a diploma. Now you might wonder what is the difference between the two of them. degree is actually conferred upon you by a university which is approved by the AICTE. If it is AICTE approved, then the college can confer this degree. Otherwise, you will be getting a PGDM diploma. But trust me when I say this, in India, the PGDM or the MBA are all the same as far as the industry is concerned. Nobody says that I will give preference to an MBA over a PGDM or a PGDM over an MBA. In fact, one very interesting fact is the top IIMs, including Ahmedabad, Bangalore and Calcutta, currently give out the PGDM diplomas. They are thinking they are in the process of giving out MBA degrees, because now they are allowed to give out degrees too. But in fact, I'm not sure whether this year they're going to do it or not. But till about a couple of years back, they were definitely giving out PGDM. In fact, I have done my MBA from IIM Indore. I call it an MBA, but actually it's a diploma. It reads PGDM. Whereas if you go to any AICTE approved private university, they give out an MBA degree. But as far as the industry is concerned, there is absolutely no difference. You don't have to worry about them as long as you're in the country. Okay, so that's basically a 2-year program. Now, typically, this is for students with low work experience. What is low? The low is actually, or the word lower is actually a bit different for India and abroad. So what we have in India, the low work experience is 0 to 4 years, which means students who are fresh out of college or who are still in the final year of the college can write the various MBA entrance exams and can directly, once their college is over, that particular academic year, the immediate next academic year. So if let's say somebody is in 2022 final year, if you are in the final year right now, you will get graduated, you'll be graduating the next year, 2023, April, somewhere around this time you'll be graduating. So the next academic year will be 2023-24. So in this year itself, June, you'll be getting the admissions into your MBA colleges. So you don't have any work experience. You'll get in straight away. You get out of one college, take 1 or 2 months break, get into the other college. So this is the cycle which follows, that's basically for students with 0 work experience. Of course, if you miss that chance, you will work somewhere, you'll accumulate 1 year of experience, you'll write CAT again or other MBA entrance exams again. If you miss it again, you'll write it the second time and so on and so forth. So basically, the work experience can go up to 4 years. So students with 0 to 4 years, they end up writing this, or rather getting into this 2-year MBA program. All the IIMs that you think, hear about, all the top-notch private universities, like let's say an SP Jain, an MDI, all of these that you hear about, their flagship program, their most important program they are known for, it's actually a 2-year MBA. Okay, 2-year program. Now when it comes to abroad, when you talk about the top 20-25 universities abroad, there the definition of less is actually a bit different. Their MBA itself starts with some work experience. You will get a 2-year minimum requirement, or rather you will have a 2-year minimum work experience requirement for many of the colleges to even take you into their MBA 2-year program. 2-year MBA program. So all these Harvards, Whartons, all of these names that you think, dream of or hear about, these colleges into their 2-year MBA program, if you want to get into this, you need to have at least 2 years, sometimes even 3 years. That's the bare minimum work experience. So rarely anybody goes with 0. I have probably seen only 1 or 2 such cases, extremely, rare cases. But yes, they more or less, they don't say it's a definite requirement, but yeah, you don't see tons of people getting in with 0 experience. So they will expect 2 years of work experience from you, because they define their course for students with some basic idea about how things work. The reason is actually quite interesting, because they have another course which I'm not mentioning here, which is not an MBA. It's called as an MIM. An MIM program is typically designed for students who have less than 2 years of work experience. And in India, we currently don't have MIM programs. In fact, Calcutta is trying to come up with this, or I think they've already come up with this MIM program, but MIM degree, but otherwise nobody else is doing, as far as I know, in our country. But MIM is quite famous abroad, especially in the European countries. So if a fresher like in India wants to do a management related program, then they either have to work for 2 years or they have to get into this masters in management. It's not a masters in business administration. MIM stands for masters in management. So that's a different program. It is also, I mean, let's not get into what is the difference between MIM and MBA, because that's another case study or a session in itself. But yes, do understand that it is a different program, and yes, students get into that with or up to 2 years of experience. So 0 to 2 years people go there. That is the reason why people don't take, or abroad the colleges don't take students without 2 years of experience, because they say that, look, if you are in such a hurry, no problem, but there is a different tailor-made program for you, go there. If you have waited for 2-3 years, then you do please apply to us. So they have a very streamlined process. Yes, in our country we still haven't reached that stage. We haven't still reached that mature stage in terms of that education cycle, where we clearly say that 0 to 2 you go to this program and more than 2 you come to this program, because we are currently in a different way, different phase of that trajectory. So hopefully in the next 15 years or so, probably we might see that happening in India, where students are not. So the thing, I'm getting a bit, I'm digressing a little bit from the topic, but in India we want to settle down by 28 years, 27 years. So if I'm saying as a B school you need to have 3-4 years work experience even before you apply to me, and then 2 years of an MBA program, that's about 4 years or 3 years plus another 2 years. So you're talking about 5 to 6 years. So where is the settling down that can happen, that you expect to happen by 28 years, 29 years? Not going to happen. So in India, you finish college, immediately you jump into some other higher education, work for 1 or 2 years, get married. So that's typically the mindset. Slowly it is changing. I'm happy it is changing, but yeah, it'll still need to change a lot, because in India, the average MBA, if you look at this 2-year program, or the 0 to 4 years work experience, the average age of the student will be around 23 to 24 years, which barely means the average work experience will be 1.5 years to 2 years. That's all. Average work experience. Whereas in these programs, the average work experience will be around 4 years, 4 or 5 years also, easily. Bare minimum average will be 4 years. So you will have students coming in with 7 years, 8 years work experience. So they'll be in their 30s. They might be married, they might be coming there single or married, whatever. So you'll be having all types of students in your batch. So the diversity will be a lot more. Whereas in India, it's not going to be that much. Yes, you still have people coming from different states, but all Indians. Very, very few foreign students come in. That too, if they come in for that exchange program, which is only for about 1 trimester. But otherwise, full course foreign students will hardly be, not even 1%, less than probably a fraction of a percent. So that's the deal as far as 2-year MBA program is concerned. But let's go ahead and take a look at the other MBA program, which is a 1-year MBA program. Now, what is this 1-year MBA program? Now, MBA can also be completed in 1 year. What is the reason? What is the difference between this 2-year and a 1-year program? Now, please first let's understand the logic. A 2-year program, as I said, is for students with less work experience. So the whole idea is the program, whether it's in India or outside, it's structured in such a way that they train or teach you most of the things from basics. For example, they start from the basics of marketing, they start from the basics of accounting, they'll start from the basics of economics, and so on and so forth. Assuming that there could be freshers in my batch, if at all it is in India. If it is abroad, they'll say that, okay, the person might not have too much of knowledge about all the aspects. He might be working for 2 years in sales, which means he might not know too many things about other areas. So that's the assumption with which the structure is made. A 1-year MBA program typically is made for students with a decent amount of work experience. Now again, what is this decent amount? It varies again within India and outside India. Decent amount in India ends up being 1 or 2 years. That's enough. That's what we call it as decent work experience. That's the minimum requirement. Whereas in abroad, you're talking about 4 to 5 years as minimum experience for you to get into a 1-year program. The average work experience for students in this program will be around 6 years. So highly experienced people, or at least you can say that above average experienced people like 7 years, 10, 12, 15 years also join these kind of programs. So here, the reason why they finish this training in about a year, when I say 1 year, actually it can stretch up to 14 months also. But yeah, the whole idea why this is 1 year is because if a person has worked for 5, 6 years, I don't need to tell him what is the importance of an HR. He knows or she knows. If a person has been working for 6 years, 10 years, I don't need to define what is sales or marketing to the person. The person will know. So a lot of things which I will have to tell from basics to my younger kids in terms of the students, I don't have to do that for these gentlemen or women over here simply because they come with that exposure already. So my number of things that I have to tell them will decrease drastically. Hence, I'll be able to condense my program, look at what exactly is needed for them and tailor make something for about 12 to 14 months. Typically, that is what happens in a 1 year MBA program. In India, again, there are 1 year MBA programs, but the minimum requirement is 1 year of experience or 2 years of experience. That's it. And there are very few such programs too in India. So that's about a 1 year MBA. Then we have something called as an executive MBA. So what is this executive MBA? How is it different from your 1 year MBA program? Again, executive MBA is typically for about a year. It is for applicants with a high amount of work experience. In India, if you are looking at an executive program, the work experience will be, minimum requirement will be 5+ years. If you are looking abroad, the work experience for this kind of an executive program typically will be somewhere around 8 years. So you're talking about not entry-level managers anymore. You're talking about, at least mid-level or senior-level managers who will be getting into this program. So they're already in mid to senior level management or that kind of applicants go into or get into these programs. Now the thing is, it could be a full-time or full-time in parts. Now what does it mean? It's an interesting idea. Full-time is obviously you take 1 year off from your company that you are in. You're either quitting the company, joining here, doing a program, then getting into some other company, or the company is sponsoring you. So you will take 1 year off sabbatical and then pursue your program. ISB gives out executive MBA or 1 year. Lakshay, ISB has both the programs. It is known for its 1 year MBA program, but it also has a different executive MBA program. Okay, it has both the programs. But usually what you hear about ISB is that 1 year program. Okay. So where was I? Yes. So could be full-time or, so what is this full-time in parts? Now it's not possible for everybody to take 1 year off from the company. I mean, what if I'm a very integral part of the company also understands that I need to enhance myself, so they will allow me to do an MBA, but they can't let me go for 1 year completely. So in such a case, what can I do? So there are specific programs which will basically say that, look, you come to the campus for 3 months or 2 months, you learn here, then there will be an online model for the next 2-3 months. Then you come back again for another 1 month, 2 months. So it's basically on the campus and off the campus, on the campus and off the campus. So you can't effectively call it full-time, but yes, it is in parts you will be doing that full-time, right? So something like that. So there are, again, when you're talking about this executive level programs, there is no standardized structure. It all depends upon the program and the campus or the college that is offering it. Different campuses offer in different ways. Because you're talking about a senior level manager getting in there, or at least a mid-level manager getting in there, not a rookie or just somebody who's gotten 1 year, 2 years into the company, there will be a lot of practical oriented approach. So there is not much. See, imagine if I have been working in the field of finance for the last 10 years, let's assume, and I am going for this kind of a program and I am a core finance person. How much of finance can the person actually teach me again? I don't need the basics of finance at all. I don't even probably need higher advanced finance because I might be doing it better than a lot of people in the class. But what do I need? So that is basically that is basically what they are going to look at. So it's not much of theory where you will learn about a lot of these things, but it's more about the new practices in the world. How is the world progressing forward in this field? What are the new tools that are coming in to help me? What are the new innovations that are happening? Financial engineering that is happening. How are the markets being developed? I'm just taking one example, one field as an example. Actually, I come from a little bit of finance background, so it becomes easier for me to talk a little bit about it. You can also extrapolate the same idea into other fields of HR or marketing for that matter. So that's basically what happens in this kind of executive program. So there will be a lot of practical approach. So you will get a lot of knowledge, yes, but it's not going to be theoretical bookish knowledge. It's going to be real life in the industry, what is happening, that kind of a knowledge which you can directly utilize. For example, you learn I'm again an engineer, so I use the engineering background. You will use a lot of, or rather, you will learn a lot of things in engineering which are not used in today's world anymore. But the idea is, you will use these processes going forward. You will develop another process. So the whole idea is you are setting, your learning process starts from this outdated things, and slowly you'll move into the current things. And again, I don't know, not many curriculums in the industry, in the campuses right now are industry related, industry ready. At the end of the day, you join into any company, you'll still have a 6-month training. You're not ready to join the job because what the company needs and what the campus is offering is not completely in sync. You will still need to spend 6 months of probationary period or trainee kind of a thing. That's basically what happens. Here it's not going to be like that. So these programs are intended to ensure that you get real life training of how things are unfolding as and when they do. So that's basically the idea. As I said, it's not exploration anymore. You can't say that with 15 years of experience, I want to explore what can I do in my life. By then you would have made up your choice, or you might want to change your career. That's okay, but that decision has already been made that you want to go from this to this. So it's not about exploring anymore. It's about once you decide what else you want to continue in the same domain or you want to change your domain, whatever else it is, the idea is already set. So it's not about exploration, it's more about information in a particular sphere. Once you decide what sphere you want to be in, that particular sphere, and you're going to be trained or you're going to be given information, hands-on practice about that particular sphere. And of course, it gives you a huge bump in your career. At that point, you'll go from a senior to a top-level executive, go from probably a position which is 2-3 levels below a CXO, to probably a 1 level below CXO or directly a CXO position in the next company that you're going to apply to. So these kind of things basically happen in your executive. Okay. Okay, Rakesh Kumar Pandey is saying, sir, having 5 years work experience, is it not good to join 2-year MBA course in India? Rakesh, firstly, with 5 years of experience, it's very difficult for you to get into a 2-year program. It's not that the colleges are waiting for you. In fact, there will barely be students with 5 years of experience in the campus. In fact, the 4-year experience guys will also be less. 5 years would be very, very rare. In fact, if I remember it correctly, when I did, and this is way back in 2010, when the executive program in India was not really great, which means people with higher experience could have come into the 2-year program itself. Now in India, there is a clear demarcation between 2-year and 1-year executive. So there's a very clear demarcation. So that's the reason why. So I'm talking about a time where this basically had no differentiation between 2 and this thing. Executive programs were not that well known. In those times itself, in my batch, not more than 10% had more than 4 years of experience. So very few students came for a 4 plus or 5 plus experience. Very, very few students. Today, it's going to be even more less because the IIMs or the other colleges will push you to go for a 1-year program. They would probably not fit you into a 2-year program at all because they say it is not meant for you. You are wasting 2 years. That's the way they look at it. You don't need a 2-year program. So you should go for a 1-year program. So that's the way they will look at it. So once you cross or once you touch that 5-year horizon, I would strictly advise you not to worry about the 2-year MBA. And look at your 1-year MBA programs only, or an executive. In India, it's once you touch 5 years, you can go for an executive program. Okay. So provides a springboard for bump into your career. So I hope that answers your question, Rakesh Kumar Pandey. Okay, let's move on. So the executive program in India is 5+ years. Very few colleges ask 4, but typically colleges ask for 5. All the top IIMs have these executive programs. They don't have a 1-year MBA program. They have this 1-year executive program. They call it as EPGP program. Normal 2-year program is called as PGP program. Okay, so they all have this EPGP programs, which again are for 1 year. And their requirement will be around 5 years. I think there's one top IIM which will ask only for 4 years. I think it's Calcutta or Ahmedabad, I don't remember. But all other top colleges in India will ask for about 5 years of experience, including the private universities. Okay, but if it is abroad, the work experience required is a lot more. You will be required to have 10 years in quite a few cases, very few cases up to 8 years, minimum 8 years of work experience. So you're talking about a bunch of students, or I can't even call them students, but yeah, technically they are learning something for the students. But yeah, you're talking about gentlemen or ladies in about 35, 38, 40 years of age, or probably even more than that, joining this kind of a program. People join with 16 years, 18 years of experience easily. And these are the programs which are made for those kind of people. I will not even call decent. They have high amount of work experience. Okay. Let's now move on to the leadership program, the last type of program. But before we move on, guys, there are a couple of things which I want to ask. If you have liked this session till now, please hit on the like button. Make sure that you guys subscribe to our channel on YouTube, because we're going to have a lot of these sessions going forward. In fact, the rundown to CAT in the next 3 months, and we have a lot of, not just CAT, we have an NMAT exam coming up. So we have a lot of such informative sessions as well as problem solving sessions coming your way for CAT and NMAT, and it does not stop there. We have SNAP after that, we have XAT after that, we have a ton of MBA entrance exams coming your way. So we have sessions for all of these on YouTube. So please make sure that you are subscribed onto our channel, and give me a like if you like this video or in this particular session, because that will give us a boost of confidence so that we can come up with more of these sessions. The other thing is, we are also there on Instagram. So we post questions every day on Instagram for you to solve, simple questions every day. So make it a habit to follow us and solve these questions every day. It should not take you more than 45-50 seconds per question. Seconds, not minutes, seconds. So do that 50 seconds, your job is done. Early morning, make it a point when you get up. As soon as you get up in the first 5 minutes, solve the question, done. It should become a habit for you. And yes, we also conduct these sessions on our app. So if you are not downloaded our app by now, please go to your either Apple Store or Android Store and download BYJU'S Exam Prep. We conduct exclusive sessions on app also. So we do it on YouTube, we do it on app. Many of the sessions done on YouTube are not there on app, and vice versa. So please be present on both the channels. Right, so let's move on and talk about the last type of program, which is a leadership program. As the name indicates, typically you're talking about the program for the leaders who are in succession. So these are the programs for almost the CXOs, or people who are just in line to become the next CXO for a huge company. Big companies, they are company sponsored typically. So the company wants to groom somebody to take up that role and responsibility. So you're not talking about startups and CFOs getting into this kind of programs. Typically you're talking about behemoths, huge companies sponsor their next in line candidates to these kind of programs. These are very, very niche. You don't see too many advertisements about them, because they'll be having a small batch size, probably 10 students, 15 students, 20 students at best. They come together, and these are given by, again, not in India, I don't think there's any such program. Yeah, they call it leadership program, but the ones that actually I'm talking about, let's imagine a company like a TCS sending their next CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, or a Chief Technological Officer into this kind of program. The person who will be taking up that role. I'm talking about that level. So they need to understand their role very decently. It's not about, a person is already at that level, you don't have to teach him technology. That's not what you're looking at. So there the programs are not going to be oriented about teaching you something new. It's more about running a company, running an organization, not just a division of it. So you're talking about leadership roles where you're going to maintain or manage rather people who are already very experienced. So you will learn how to handle people who are with 20 years of experience, who are going to report to you. So that's the kind of learning you will have. So it's a different level altogether. Not very common. Yes, the word leadership program can be very misleading because a lot of Indian colleges also use this program called leadership program, but the ones that I'm talking about are not commonly found. Yes, they are groomed to run a company, not just a business vertical. And as I said, it's very niche. I mean, you have handful of programs like this across the world. And some of these programs might require some crazy criteria. So some of these programs will be requiring you to have a letter of recommendation from your actual CXO. So the criteria could be something like the letter has to be from a company with so much of revenue minimum and a CXO of this kind of a company. So such kind of, you know, crazy requirements might be there for a student to get into this, you know, to be eligible into this program. So that's how this kind of leadership programs run. Typically, I'm sure anybody who's listening to this right now would not be even dreaming about it because you're all mostly in your early parts. So let's not worry about these programs. But yes, they do exist. So somewhere in your career line, even I can't think about it right now because my experience would not put me in this kind of a program even today. Probably another 10 years, I might think about something like this, right? So that's the whole idea. Now, so CAT versus XAT versus GMAT. Now, I told you all about the program. So what is now the difference between these three exams? So let's understand that. CAT and XAT, straight away for you to understand, are for 2-year MBA programs in India. It's as simple as that. So CAT is a bunch of colleges accept your CAT score for their 2-year program. A bunch of colleges accept the XAT score for their 2-year program. Which colleges, I'm not mentioning here, we have separate sessions for that, all about CAT, all about XAT. So I spoke about colleges accepting CAT scores, colleges accepting XAT scores. Of course, XLRI is the best name here. The IIMs are the best names in your CAT. It goes without saying. I don't think in India today, any of the 1-year programs, which are executive programs, accept CAT and XAT. Okay. However, you have certain 1-year MBA programs. For example, Great Lakes Chennai offers a 1-year MBA program where a minimum work experience of 1 year or something is required. They will accept this kind of a CAT and XAT scores, but otherwise, predominantly, I can say 99.99% of the cases, CAT and XAT are exams for 2-year MBA programs inside the country. Whereas, if you're looking at GMAT, GMAT is for everything else. You want to get into a typical 1-year program like an ISB in India or abroad. Even in India, executive programs that I spoke about, all the 5-year plus requirement programs in IIMs that I spoke about, they take the entrance through GMAT only. So if you want to, I think one of Rakesh Kumar Pandey was asking 5 years experience. So if you want to get into a executive program with about 5 years of experience, then you will have to write GMAT and not CAT or XAT. Because all these executive programs in the same colleges, same IIM, same XLRI, but they will accept GMAT. So this, I hope, clears up why should you write CAT and XAT, or who should be writing CAT and XAT versus who should actually be writing your GMAT. So if you want to get into these programs of 1 year, typically 1 year, ISB 1-year program, or 5 years executive MBA, 5 years work experience minimum requirement for executive programs of IIMs or other colleges like XLRI or other colleges like, let's say, your MDI, where all of these executive programs will have 4-5 years of experience, minimum experience required. So all these programs, you will have to apply only through your GMAT score. So all of you who are asking me this question, should I write CAT or GMAT? First ask yourself, what program are you going for? If it is a 2-year program, writing GMAT is useless for you. There are hardly any Indian 2-year programs which will take GMAT score. But if you want to go abroad, any abroad program, guys, it is through GMAT. Some through GRE also, but predominantly GMAT. MBA programs abroad, GMAT. MBA programs India, if it is 2-year program, CAT and XAT and other exams. If it is 1-year program or executive programs in India, then it could be GMAT. That is the main difference. Having said that, let's go ahead and take a look at the exam-wise difference. Now, so the most important difference is here. I hope I have pointed it out very clearly. So don't now ask me CAT or GMAT or XAT or GMAT, because it's straight away linked to your program. Now let's take a look at your exam structure. So this is the exam structure difference. If you're looking at CAT, it's a 2-hour exam right now with 3 sections. So there is a sectional time limit, 40 minutes per section. So 40 plus 40 plus 40 is 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. The 3 sections, and you can't change the order of the sections. These sections always come in this order only. English, 24 questions, 40 minutes. Next is DILR, which is data interpretation and logical reasoning, 20 questions, same 40 minutes again, and quantitative aptitude, which is 22 questions, 40 minutes, adding up to a total of 66 questions. There are always 4 options. You get it right, you'll get 3 marks. You get it wrong, you'll get -1 mark. If you don't attempt, it is 0 marks. However, there are type of questions called TETA, or it is also sometimes called as non-MCQ. These are something unique to CAT exam, where there are no options in these kind of questions. You will just have a box. You're supposed to type the number. So if I ask you a question which says, what is the value of, let's say, 5 into 6 by 2? I mean, just taking nobody's going to ask you this, but just as an example, this will be 15. So there will not be any option of 13, 14, 15, 16. You'll just have a box. You're supposed to type the answer 15. So these kind of questions are called as non-MCQ or TITA. TITA means type in the answer. So in those kind of questions, it is +3 marks, and if you get wrong, 0 marks, because you can't guess. Rather, you can always guess some random number, but the chance of your guess being correct is 0. Because there are infinite answers you can write. Whereas in multiple choice questions, there are only 4 options. You can guess 1 out of 4. So that's the reason why they put negative marking to penalize you from guessing if you get it wrong. Anyway, and the difficulty level typically for CAT is moderate. Sometimes it can go to difficult, but yeah, it's around moderate level. It's not very easy. It's not very difficult. I would say it is around moderate level. Similarly, if you're looking at XAT, XAT has a total exam time limit of 180 minutes. This is actually 165 plus 15. I'll explain what is this. So there are 3 sections that combine and get to you in this 165 minutes. These 3 sections which are given to you in 165 minutes will not have any sectional time limit. It's overall 165 minutes without any sectional time limits. All these 3 sections come to you together. But what are these 3 sections? Verbal ability and logical reasoning. So here they combine English and logic together, and they give you 26 questions. So there will be RCs and there will be logical reasoning questions in one section. There is something completely new called decision making, which is neither there in GMAT nor is it there in your CAT, which is very specific to XAT. In fact, it is not there in many of the other MBA entrance exams like your SNAP and even NMAT. NMAT and SNAP probably might ask 1 odd question like that, but otherwise they don't have a section like that. Whereas XAT has 21 questions, and they will have a minimum requirement for a student to qualify into their college or to get an interview call. So there is a sectional cutoff for CAT also, there is a sectional cutoff for XAT also. So you need to get at least some of these questions correct. Then of course the last section is QA and DI. They combine maths and data interpretation together. There will be 27 questions. And as I said, these 3 sections come bunched together. You can't, there's no sectional time limit. You can go anywhere to anywhere within this section, within these 165 minutes. Once that is done, you will have another 15 minutes for GK plus essay writing. Okay, so this GK questions do come in. Again, the thing about GK is there will not be any score attached to your GK questions. So these GK questions score is not published anywhere. Okay, and it does not play a factor, or it is not a factor, it does not play any role in your getting a call for the colleges. But yes, these 165 minutes and these 3 sections and the marks that you get here play obviously a direct role. Now these questions, MCQs, come with 5 options each, and it is 1 mark if you get it correct, -1/4 if you get it wrong. Now this is very unique for GMAT. If you leave questions, also there is a penalty, which is about 0.1 mark. And of course, 0. So where is the 0 coming then? If you're leaving also, you're penalized. So where does the 0 come? So XAT has a very unique structure. 8 questions can be left. So 8 questions can be left with 0 marks. 9th question onwards, every question after 9th, on or after 9th that you're leaving, will attract a minus 0.1 mark. So if you leave 10 questions totally, 8 of them, no worries, 0 marks. 9th and 10th, 2 questions. So 2 questions each minus 0.1. So overall, because of what you left, you will get minus 0.2. So that's minus 0.2. That's the negative mark you'll get for leaving. And of course, the other calculation will be for corrects and wrongs. So that's about your XAT exam. The difficulty level is like CAT, I would say moderate, very few times difficult, but yeah, in that moderate to difficult range. It usually is not very easy, but yeah, it's in the moderate to difficult range. GMAT is a completely different animal. When it comes to GMAT, there are totally 4 sections with sectional time limits. And the total time for all these sections put together is 187 minutes. It's a long exam. And the good thing about GMAT is you can take 5 minutes break after 2 sections. I'll explain how it goes. You will have 2 breaks. You can take 2 breaks. So the 4 sections are integrated reasoning. You will get 12 questions, 30 minutes. Then you have AWA, that is analytical writing ability. That is basically 30 minutes. You will have 1 question to answer in that. Then there is a quantitative reasoning, 31 questions, 62 minutes. And verbal reasoning, 65 minutes, 26 questions. So this is a structure of a GMAT exam. However, the beauty of this exam is these sections are not rigid. You can choose before the exam what should be the order of the sections. Should it be IR first, then QR, then English, then AWA? So you can choose the order in various formats that they will allow you to do. It's not like in CAT where it's always first is English, second is LRDI, third is quant. You can't change it in CAT. Whereas GMAT allows that change to happen. In XAT, it is irrelevant to speak about it because all sections are open. There's no sectional time limit. So GMAT, the sections can be, but you have to decide it before, and once you decide, you can't change it. That's the point. And yes, these are the time limits. Now, the gap or the break that I spoke about is after the first 60 minutes or the 62, whichever depends. So basically you can club these two into 160. This is 62 and 65. So think of it as 60, 60, 60. So after every 60 minutes, you are allowed to take 1 break, short break. Okay, so there will be 1 small break of 5 minutes, there will be 1 slightly larger break of about 10 minutes. So a lot of students actually do eat something in the break also. So GMAT is a very caring exam. You know, they actually, if you go to a good GMAT center, they will give you earplugs so that the noise does not disturb you. A lot of things you will find a difference between GMAT as well as other exams. But yeah, I've given GMAT and it's a very nice experience. So people do carry their small tiffin boxes, they munch something, you know, you are spending calories when you're thinking so much. So you need something to replenish yourself. You know, people do all those kind of things. So again, here GMAT exam has 5 options. Now the second beautiful part about the GMAT exam is it is an adaptive exam. So there is no plus or minus anymore. So there is no +1 mark or -1 mark or 0 marks anymore. So the way GMAT functions is quite different. So what is the meaning of this adaptive exam? So I explained this in quite a few of my other lectures, but let me give a quick lowdown of what is adaptive. So think of it like this. Okay, this is bad. Okay. So an adaptive exam works this way. You will get first 1 question, which is, let's say you're starting with English or quant for that matter, whatever section. You will get a question which is at a just easy about level. If you get it right, the next question will be slightly more difficult than this. If the next question is also right, if this question is right, the next one will also be slightly more difficult than this. So it's like, you know, every correct question that you answer, you will keep getting slightly higher and higher levels. So ultimately, the adaptive nature here talks about how high can you reach. The more height you reach in difficulty level, the better score you get. There is no score per, there is no marks for each question. It's ultimately a calculation of what height are you reaching. That height will be converted into marks. For example, I can reach I can reach a height like this. So I got one question, question number 1 here. I got it right. The second question, slightly higher. So this is difficulty. Okay, why is this happening? Right, so this is difficulty level. And the horizontal part is question number. So if I start first one, okay guys. So if I start with the first one, it's basically a easy level question. I got it right. Second one is at this level. I got that also right. Then the next question will be slightly higher. Then that also right. So let's say I keep reaching this this point, then I'll reach this point, then I'll reach this point, somewhere like this. Once I reach a point where my mental ability matches the difficulty level, then I might or might not get always correct. So I might make a mistake here. Then the exam says, okay, you are making a mistake here. Let me give you same level of question. Is it a silly error, or it could be that you have reached your peak? If I make a mistake again, it will try to bring me down a little. And it will try to see, okay, is this your level? Or you want me to go down one level more lower to see where your level is. Lower level, if I'm getting right, I will again come up. So if I keep hovering like this, okay, if I keep hovering like this, basically it realizes that this is my potential. So it is a measurement of your potential. Let's say I'm super intelligent. Then my graph straight away goes like this. All 31 questions, one after the other, I keep getting right. I will reach the peak. I'll get the maximum score then. But if otherwise, if I'm falling short, if I'm able to reach only till here, I'll get some percentage of my maximum score. So that's how they grade the students. So that is the nature of this adaptive exam. That's the nature of this adaptive exam. Typically, the questions are not very difficult unless you reach the end point. So most of the questions, beginning part, as I said, it's an adaptive. So it starts with easy, above easy, moderate. So you will get difficult questions in the last few only. So you can actually, overall you can say that the exam is easy to moderate or probably moderate level. I will not call it difficult because the number of difficult questions that will come to you will not be many compared to your CAT and XAT exam. And the difference between GMAT and CAT and XAT, there's one more beautiful difference. GMAT always gives questions which can be done in two ways. One is the lengthy brute force way, the other is actually the smart way. They ensure that each question can be done in two ways, especially maths, even in English for that matter. You can apply logic to get an answer because that's the reason they call it as reasoning, quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning. These are all reasoning based with maths and with English. So at the end of the day, they are not checking your maths, they are checking your reasoning skills, logical ability skills. So yes, you can always solve a maths question using maths, no doubt, but they will frame questions in such a way that you can eliminate options or something like that and still get a maths question using logic. That's the beauty of your GMAT exam. Whereas CAT and XAT, yes, they try to do that, but not to the extent that GMAT does. So GMAT, always, every question will have these two facets of answers, two ways in which you can answer. CAT and XAT usually will have few questions which are smart, but not many questions. Some questions will be, you have to do it in the brute force way only. So typically that's the exam structure difference. So that, my friends, is the difference between CAT, XAT and GMAT. More importantly, I hope you understood what programs are these exams for. I hope this session has brought this knowledge to you and you will not ask anyone anymore, should you write GMAT or not? It's a simple function of, are you going for a 2-year program or not? It's as simple as that, right? So guys, that brings us to the end of the session. We are running a comprehensive crash course for CAT 2022. If you guys are interested, please reach out to our counselors on this particular number which is mentioned over here at the bottom. We have just recently started the batch, so you can definitely join the batch and continue till the end of the course. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you in the next one.